amazing intro. How's that, my brother?
Well, what's going on, social media family? Once again, it is on Wellness Wednesday in full effect. Edward J. Brown in the building, Positive Choices. Yours truly, Joe Dupree from the Black Station 100 BLK. We are in the building and we are going to get into the conversation of your mental health because your mental health matters. It is Wellness Wednesday, 22nd day of February. Funny how time flies when you have
Black History Month is at its end.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Love Month is almost over. Black History Month is almost over, though I believe that Black History Month is every day, 365, 24/7, 12 months out of every year. There's somebody of melanated color that is always doing something big. So listen, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Next month is Women's History Month, isn't it?
I got to check. I think it is that.
I think it is.
It is March. We are actually getting ready this weekend. Speaking about Black history, the HBCU Legacy Bowl
in the house.
We will be in the house in New Orleans, down there with the NFL Network, HBCU great Doug Williams, Shaq Harris, and many, many others as coaching the Team Robinson, the late great Eddie Robinson Sr. Coaching Team Robinson will be Southern University's very own Drip himself, Coach Drip. Coach Dooley will be the coach. Listen, something that I thought was really great talking about Black history. You know, even though a lot of folks know Brother Brown, he represents Alcorn State, the Braves, which I'm going to give you a very big history point about the Braves. Okay. Even though the man graduated from Southern University, you see
the Southern University,
the S on the chest.
That's
even though I'm 100% Graham fam, I do a lot of work for Southern. You catch me at all the basketball games, football games, and a lot of things going on with Southern. I'm there, a part of it. The first dancing ensemble for football season was the Alcorn Braves, the Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls? Really?
Right. Before anybody else put females as a dancing ensemble, a dancing group of individuals, the Golden Girls were first. And I applaud Alcorn State because that was on Good Morning America. That was one of the Black history facts, you know, about the prevalence of the dancing and the young ladies who do an outstanding job. Because they were talking about, you know, Beyonce. They said Beyonce really brought that into the spotlight with Coachella, using the Southern Dancing Dolls.
Correct.
You know, the fabulous Dancing Dolls. And,
correct.
You know, so Black history. Listen, learn something new every day. I tell people all the time, if you're not learning something new, you're dying. And I ain't good at resuscitating folks. So learn something new every day.
Today we're ready to die.
No, not like that. Speaking about that, the unfortunate passing away of folks. Let's talk about mental health because believe it or not, a lot of folks of Black and brown color leave due to suicide. Suicide is at an alarming high rate in our communities, and that's what we're here to talk about. We have done a lot of podcasts, and we will do a lot more because we want you to know that you have somebody that you can talk to, somewhere you can go, and individuals who are licensed, professional clinicians. Now, I want to talk about that for a minute before we go into today's show.
Absolutely.
I understand you can talk to your friends and them. I understand you can talk to
your people.
I understand you can talk to your mama and them.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you can talk to your clergy friends and your pastor. there are some conversations when it comes down to your mental health, your situation, your circumstances. And you can always talk to God, but there are people that are licensed professionals
and trained.
And trained. And the reason I say that is that's like going to get your car fixed. You can't go to the Shade Tree mechanic. And I ain't saying he ain't going to fix your car. But I'm saying this, he's not licensed or trained to fix your car. And if by accident he forgets to tighten one bolt and your whole engine goes out.
Hey, but this is what I learned, Brother Dupree. The modern day cars are a little too technical for the Shade Tree. I looked at a video of a BMW i8 truck that they're coming out with. Everything is liquid crystal inside. And you ain't gonna tell me the brother with the cigarette hanging out his mouth.
Let me see that there, son. Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that alternator right there. No. See,
so I want you to understand that being a trained mental health professional is like, it's night and day from just getting what we call, it's great to have support, a good support system.
Correct.
Which is what your mother and your friends and they all can be. They're a good support system. But sometimes, just like these new high fangle dangle cars, you need to take it to someone that's trained and professional. And a professional at that. So, I learned that when I got my first high-end car, and people say, man, what you got under the hood of that thing? I told them I couldn't tell you. Ain't no reason for me to raise the hood up on this thing. Everything under here is electronic and digital, and I take it to the specialist. So all I want you to know is sometimes life throws things at us that you really need someone that's trained in the art of behavioral sciences to help you through. And that's all I'm saying. Not taking a knock at your clergy, at your mama and them. Whoever makes you feel well, that's wonderful. But at some point, sometimes you need a profession.
Okay. So, we always say we don't choose the shows choose us.
Exactly.
So I'm going to throw a curveball at my brother because I really don't know what he's about to talk about. But
I'm always open for a curveball now.
Somebody brought up something that I think we really do need to have a real conversation about.
Okay.
And it's to whom do you lend your ears to? Because some of you are literally lending your ears to the wrong folk. And I'm just got to be straight with you. Sometimes the people you go to talk to that you believe have your best in their conversation back to you, they really don't. You got a lot of dry haters, dry snitchers, folk that really, they happy you telling them all your business, where they can actually further help bring the demise of your situation, because they really don't want to.
Very manipulative people.
Right. They really don't want to see you win. They really don't, because they understand. See, what they want is they want you to do good. They just don't want you to do better than them. And if you can give them some of the things you're doing, they're going to always discourage you not to do it. Oh, don't do that. I wouldn't do that. And that's where I believe a lot of us need to start having the conversations, because this is about your mental health. And sometimes you have to be careful who you talk to when it comes down to what you're doing.
Okay. You opened up some worms now.
Okay. So sometimes you got to watch who you tell what your next move is, because your next move needs to be your best move. But if your next move is told to the wrong person at the wrong time, they'll make the move before you make the move.
We can open this discussion with something as simple as, what is a person's motivation in a conversation?
Come on.
What is their motivation within a conversation?
Come on, talk to me, brother.
Is it to support? You have those type of people. And those are the type of people where no matter what you tell them, they always have something positive to say back. Now, even if it's not positive, it's supportive. If they know, for example, you saying, you know what, I did something really terrible. And as a result of what I did, I don't feel real good about it. A person that's supportive to you, truly supportive, will say, well, you know, you can always come back. And if not, you can either try to do your best to make it better. Something supportive or something positive. I think that we have to be very, very careful who we tell and say these people are supportive. Because now we got a different kind of person. Remember what we're saying? What is their reason for being in this conversation? Now we have folks that they ain't going to say nothing positive nor negative. But what they will do is gather information. They're going to gather as much information as they can. Remember what we said. What is the motivation for their participation in the conversation?
Come on.
So as we start looking at these type of people in the middle of this podcast, we're talking about what individuals do, why they participate. So here they are gathering information to do what with? That's the interesting part. Are they saving it for a convenient time? Are they taking it all in order to manipulate it later on and twist the idea? Most of the time, and what I teach my students is there's a course I teach at Alcorn called Skills in Interviewing. And every conversation has a purpose: to obtain information, to disseminate information. Some is just for recreation. But every conversation has a purpose. Now we said people to support. Then we have people who are gathering intel, as my brother would say. But then we have that third person that is taking the information for malicious purposes.
That part.
You know, their intent is malicious from the beginning.
Come on.
When they engage you, it is to be malicious. And now they may not seem like it, because you'll say they didn't seem like that type of person. Why not? Because all they just did was sit there and listen. No, what they did was gather intel.
Well, remember the song. They smile in your face,
but all the while they want
to take your place. The backstabbers.
So, what I believe as we start talking about utilizing the right people in our lives. You have to have the right people in your life. And now I have so many types of individuals in my life.
Come on.
But the individuals that I go to when I have an issue, those are the individuals that I know are not going to be judgmental. They're not going to take the information and reframe it. And they're not going to use the information for malicious purposes.
Right. You got to know. You've got to know
who these people
have to
are.
know. You got to know who. Now listen to what you got to know who's really with you. Because I got two good sayings that I want everybody to listen to before I pass this back over to Brother Brown. Remember this one. A lot of folks who follow me in social media hear me say this all the time. Everybody in your circle ain't in your corner.
Correct.
Now, remember this. Everybody who's clapping with you ain't clapping for you. Them are two things you need to keep in your hip pocket at all the time and always, every day, all day. Pay attention to your surroundings. See, many a times why we wind up in these mental health crises is because we're not paying attention to our surroundings. And some of the folks that we think are going to war with us, when the war break out and we turn around, they're nowhere to be found. And now we're standing on an island being bombarded with the cares of the world. And that causes panic. That causes people to fall into depression. That causes people all of a sudden to say, well, maybe my life ain't worth this because the folk I thought that were with me ain't with me. See, that's why when you look at some of these folks who have committed suicide, and we always say, I can't believe with the life they had.
Yeah, wait till we get on the second half of this conversation.
I can't believe with the life they had. But see, here's what I want to tell folks. Just because you see their circle, you necessarily don't see who in their corner. And just because you see everybody clapping with them doesn't necessarily mean everybody's clapping for them. So when you see a Twitch take his life, when you see a Miss America, a beautiful young lady take her life, when you see folk that even you and I have had contact with, like they just did a dedication during the HBCU basketball game at the All-Star game to the individuals who had untimely deaths from Southern University in Grambling. Some of those folks were suicide victims.
Correct.
You know, so even when you look at their lives and you say, here's this beautiful young person, a cheerleader or a prominent person on campus, why in the world would they take their life? You have to recall
they have so much to live for. Yeah,
they had so much to live for. Couldn't they have just talked to somebody? See, once again, just because you see them and they in your circle, don't mean that you feel like they in your corner. See, people who watch this, people who love me don't have to tell me they love me. I know they love me.
Love is an action word.
Right.
Love is an action word.
I know this. People who are clapping, I know who's clapping with me and clapping for me, and I know who's clapping with me, not waiting for the day that they can say, I knew that was gonna happen. See, family, I'm here to talk to y'all tonight with Brother Brown to tell y'all got to be more careful. You got to be. See, who you let in your space is on you. Let me say that again. We here to tell you that your mental health matters. And because your mental health matters, I'm here tonight here's what we're going to name this podcast tonight. I almost made my headset come out. Hold up. Here's what we're going to name the podcast tonight. Protect your peace.
There you go. Wasn't that my saying all last year? Protect the peace.
Protect your peace.
Now, leading into that, here's the best thing you can do to protect your peace.
Come on.
Now, if we've done this podcast for almost 2 years now,
yes, sir,
this may be one of the most profound things I've ever had the opportunity to talk about. You have to ask yourself, see, because here's a very powerful instrument. When people realize that you desire their approval and their affirmation, they have a sense of power. And some people take that and they use it and they manipulate it. But you got to go and ask yourself, why am I seeking the approval of that individual? Because once you stop, and I termed it as I'm writing in my book, I don't give anybody else the control over my thermostat because I like it set the way I like it set. So I'm not going to give you control of my thermostat to turn the heat way up high or to make me feel real cold. I'm not doing that. At the end of the day, the individuals that I love and that love me, I know they love me unconditionally. I don't have to worry about whether I have their approval, whether or not I'm accepted as is unconditionally by anyone. Too often we walk around here and we allow our hearts to be devastated because we thought someone thought a particular way about us. And when the lights were turned on, we found out it was nothing but a bunch of roaches running around. But the best way to protect that is to look in the mirror and be happy with that individual that you see. Now, I hear it all the time. Well, what if I'm not happy with the individual and I see? That's even better. You want to know why? Because you can always change. You can always put in the work and change. That is one of the things that, we're in that season. Today is the first day of the Lenten season for those who practice Catholicism.
Correct.
That is the part, the time where leading up to Easter, you sacrifice something and you give up something in acknowledgement of the ultimate sacrifice, which is God giving his son, Jesus Christ.
Correct.
It got to the point in my life where I started saying, man, it's no longer a task to give up anything. I give up something and I go through the time and then it's all over with. And one of my mentors said, well, it's time for you to stop giving up something and start adding something. And I was like, wow. He said, instead of giving up sweets like you always do, why don't you add going to the shelter and volunteering?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you decide to donate $20 to a homeless shelter every week? He said, instead of giving up something, add something. I say that to say this. When we start looking at individuals for, definition of who we are, we allow people to write and make us feel like this. So when Brother Dupree goes to the mirror in the morning and he say, well, I could drop a few pounds.
Right.
When he walk out there, he don't need somebody to say, hey, Joe, you need to go to the gym because you need to drop a few pounds. Is it what you need to do is mind your business? I already know this. That's what you need to do, mind your business. But if he was one that was looking for affirmation outside of self, see, that's the important part. When you seek affirmation outside of self, you set yourself up for disappointment, for depression, for sadness, because people will manipulate you and not give you. And like Brother Dupree always say, they want you to do well. They just don't want you to do better than them.
Right.
And that's when you start to see folks take shot at you and try to chop you down when they see you are in a vulnerable position. That's why most men, we don't like being vulnerable, because we don't want people to see us at our most vulnerable. We are here today to tell you, stop looking to other people for affirmation. If you need help with counseling, with depression, anxiety, that's where you seek a professional help. You're not looking for affirmation from that therapist.
Correct.
You're looking for understanding of the mental health process, the behavior patterns that we all exhibit in this thing we call life.
And you want to get healed, whole, and become better. That's why, if you noticed, I just posted here and I showed a little bit while brother Brown was talking, positivechoiceofcounseling.org. Now listen, I want y'all to catch this. You don't go to an orange tree for apples.
Correct.
And you don't go to an apple tree for oranges.
Correct.
Both trees are good. If you want apples, you go to an apple tree.
Good fruit.
If you want oranges, you go to an orange tree. But listen, when you, and the reason I say this, so many folks say, I don't need that. Mental health has become so taboo amongst people of color that we say, oh, I'll pray about it. Oh, God knows. And once again, I don't want nobody to feel like I'm getting on anybody's religion, spirituality, or the clergy. But let me say this. When the pastor gets sick, he go to the doctor.
He sure does.
When the pastor gets sick, he don't sit there and say, you know what? I am a pastor and my CEO is God. When the pastor has a heart condition, he goes to a cardiologist. He don't say, now he trusts God to send him to the right cardiologist, and he trusts God that whatever the cardiologist says, God will bring total restoration and healing
Absolutely.
through cardiologists. Absolutely. But you don't sit there at home and say, oh, I'm having a heart attack. I know my heart's bad. God gonna fix it. Correct. So listen, correct, family, I want to bless y'all with that for this reason, because I think sometimes you only hear what you want to hear. And I'm not down in anybody's spirituality, religion, or any pastor, male, female, young or old. What I am saying is, when the pastor gets sick, the pastor goes to the doctor.
Yeah. And what you have to realize is you are in control of making the best decision for yourself. So if you realize you're suffering from depression or anxiety, seek mental health help. Seek help from a professional. But also, when you are dealing with trying to find that support system, I've seen so many people get devastated because they put their faith and their belief into individuals who really did not have their best interests in mind.
Come on.
I have a friend, and I remember back in the day, she used to always say, well, yeah, I could do what you do because people come to me with their problems all the time. And she said that one too many times. And I said, they come to you because you messy. And they know they're going to get some good gossip when they come to you. People don't come to me to gossip.
Right.
They come to me because I have 30 plus years of mental health training. That's why they come to me.
Hey, and I'm glad you said that. Bookmark that. Because watch this. Somebody asked me that too. And listen, I could do a podcast and we could be on here cussing, fussing. Booties could be shaking in the background. Hold it. And guess what? I'm pretty sure a lot of folks would be sharing it. Talk about, ooh, look at this. Listen, we're here because a healthy you is a better you. We're here to talk to you about making positive choices, because guess what? There's enough buffoonery and foolishness and enough crazy talk on podcasts to probably line it up from here to Pasadena. We're not here for likes. We're not here for likes. We're here to give information and have you a place that when you're at your last thread, when you're at your last piece of hope, you can say, wait a minute, I remember this podcast called Wellness Wednesday. Let me go listen and let me reach out to Positive Choices. Let me reach out because I really don't feel like I can make it till tomorrow. We want to be that lifeline for folk. We want to be hope to the real hopeless. We want to be the ones where when you think that, man, I ain't got the money, I ain't got this, don't nobody want to listen to me, call us. Call us.
Correct.
We're here to tell you, yes, we are professionals. Yes, we're making a living, but your life doesn't have a price on it. And we're here to be a blessing to you and at least try to get you somewhere where you can get some real help, because the last thing we want to do is wake up and see your name in somebody's obituary.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. I have a client, and I absolutely love working with her, because when she came to me, she said, I've been trying to deal with this for 2 years by myself. I said, okay, what's going on? She said, I lost my soulmate. I said, okay, she said, my husband passed 2 years ago, and I just have not been able to bounce back. I've been out here being promiscuous and trying to find and fill that void that he left. After 2 sessions, she came 1 week, then she came the next week. She called me the day after her second session. She said, I feel like I am on the path of healing now that I'm seeing you. She said, because I understand things now about the grief process that I didn't understand before. She said, I am so glad I came to talk to a professional instead of all the people that I was talking to. And I was like, well, who were you talking to? She said, oh, I talked to my sister. I talked to my mother. I talked to one of my friends. And I talked to the first lady at my church. She said, but none of them could kind of help me understand what I was feeling and what I was going through with the loss of my husband.
Now watch this. Bookmark that. All great people to talk to. All great people to talk to. All, all probably had a great word for you. But watch this. When I'm sick, I need somebody who can give me the proper prescription to bring about healing to what I have, because my cough to them might be just a cough. But to a trained professional, I might have RSV, I might have COVID, I might have a blockage in my lung that don't nobody know about. See, watch this. A regular cough to you and me might be a regular cough because we're not trained. But see, and nor do we have the tools. I don't have a stethoscope that I can put at your chest and say, breathe in, breathe out. All I can say is, ooh, that's a bad cough. Girl, you might need to take some honey lemon and get you some Halls. Well, honey lemon and Halls and Mowgli AT don't help if you got a blockage in your chest that can't nobody see.
Correct.
Listen, family, I'm really trying to wake y'all up tonight, because too many times the problem with us is we listen to good folk who give us good advice, but we need to go deeper. We need to go further. We need to get with some professionals who can give us something that can bring about restoration and healing.
Here's an interesting thing. And I saw this on social media, posted recently several times. It's time for people to stop blaming their upbringing for their behavior and just start to accept, their behavior, because they're grown now. You're not a child anymore. And when I read it the first time, and I saw it a couple of days later and a couple of days after that, I said, as true as that may be, it's not that simple, because we are reared by the behavior patterns of our upbringing. It directly wrote on us, just like a dry erase board. It's put inside of us, and it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. We are a product of every interaction we've ever had, from schoolmates to parenting to siblings to friends. So to just say, well, you need to get over it now, you're in your 30s or whatever, and you're grown and you can't be blaming your parents for. Well, it's not about blaming, it's about explanation. Brother Dupree, as a veteran, it's something we call in with post-traumatic stress called the startle response.
Correct.
Loud noises, bang,
correct,
can trigger an episode of PTSD. So what should we say? Well, you need to get over that. You ain't been in war in 20 years for a veteran. That does not mean he does not have that variable in him that, when triggered, causes a behavior that he does not like.
Correct.
So to just say, well, you grown now, get over it. Do you know how many people we have, grown individuals, still suffering from childhood trauma?
Come on.
Come on. Grown individuals, 40, 50 years old, still suffering with childhood trauma.
Hold it. That's almost like saying, in my opinion, this is my opinion, that's almost like saying if an individual was violated, raped, and it happened 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, that you got the audacity to look them in the face and say, you should be over that.
Yeah, get over it. Well, we hear that all the time about slavery, don't we? Well, slavery was 300 years ago, 400 years ago. Y'all just need to get over it and let it go.
That's your Black History fact for the day.
Well, here's the let me add to that little Black History fact. When some of the systematic behaviors are still present, it's kind of hard to get over something, isn't it?
Come on.
So we would love to get over slavery and get over the impact of slavery if all of these systematic issues were gone. But we still have racism when it comes to housing discrimination and job discrimination. some of the social, my tongue today, some of the systematic, institutionalized behaviors still exist. So yeah, we'll love to get it. So here you are, a victim of childhood trauma, and some of that behavior that you put in place to help you deal and cope still exists because you're still dealing with the trauma. So people can't understand how a young man who was molested has a problem committing to a relationship. How a young lady who maybe was sexually violated can be very promiscuous. Once you change my outlook about what love is, how somebody who loved me could do this to me, so that must be what love is. Now, that was a very deep therapeutic moment just now. You know, we are going to have, you know, characteristics that were passed on from latency age to adolescence to young adulthood to adulthood as we go into senior citizenship. But surround yourself with genuine people. I have a question on one of my exams where I asked a student, when you're working with people with mental illness, what is the one characteristic that they feel is the most important when it comes to being successful in treatment? Is it the age of the therapist? They like the old gray bearded man. Is it the gender of the therapist? I like a man over a woman. Is it the race of the therapist? I'd rather a white woman than a black man. None of those.
Gender, a lot, like you said, gender, a lot.
You know what it is?
What is it?
Genuineness. If I feel my therapist genuinely cares for me, people have a tendency to be more successful in treatment. Simple as that. So I always tell people it is imperative that you like and have a good relationship with your therapist. If you do not, it's a theorist called Piaget. And Piaget says if a person, preferably a child even, does not like their therapist, they will not engage in the therapeutic process. That's kind of like Brother Dupree. All we got to do is go eat somewhere one time and the food not good.
Right.
We like, I ain't going back there. That's a wrap.
That's it.
You get one time.
That's it.
That's how it is when we start talking about having the right people to talk to. I'm not going to go talk to my pastor about how to lower my cholesterol.
Correct.
I'm not. I'm not going to go talk to my barber about how to deal with my depression.
Correct. Because like you just said, it has to be likability and understand. Correct. The old saying says you only get one time to make a first impression.
Absolutely. You know.
So family, we started this thing off, like I said, and I really wanted y'all to, and catch this again. I want to say this for those who are logging on, for those who will review this again. Remember, everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. Now watch this. I didn't say they don't need to be in your circle.
Correct.
I'm just making you realize that you might have 100 folk in your circle, but only 3, 4, or 5 of them are close acquaintances. Those who can really understand what's going on with you. Everybody clapping with you. You could be in a crowd of folks, y'all all clapping. They may be clapping for something that you said. Everybody there clapping ain't really happy that you said what you said. A lot of them just clapping because everybody else is clapping. In their mind, they're saying, oh, really? He or she, they really think they something else. Not knowing that really ain't. That's really not even their idea. You know,
exactly.
Folks, listen, there are dream snatchers. There are dream killers. There are folk out there who have nothing to do but hate on you. They are haters by trade. And guess what? You can't let them folks inside. You hold it. You can let them in the city, but you can't let them in your house.
Ooh.
Remember this: you can reside in my city, you can hang out in my neighborhood, you can walk up and down my street, but there's a problem when I let you in my house.
You can't come in my house.
And that is the problem with a lot of us. We let folk in our house that shouldn't be in our house.
So since we said that, let's go ahead on and add this to it.
Come on.
It's okay to choose you. You remember we talked about that a couple of weeks ago?
Come on.
It's okay to choose you. And what I mean by that is when you cut off certain people and their access to you, if it is for your well-being, for your mental health, that's okay. That is to protect your peace is absolutely okay.
That's right.
And we have folks all the time say, oh man, you different. No, I'm not different. I'm just not accessible.
Right.
I'm not always accessible to people who want to feed off of me.
Correct.
Who want to take something. Sometimes you have to be willing to deposit something.
Correct.
So we are at this point where, I was telling some of my students the other day, I have gone through life and I have lost a lot of friends. People I thought was friends. And one of the ones that I thought was a friend, I saw, I was reading actually in the Essence magazine, and one of the, I think it was Tyler Perry wrote an article. And in the article, he said, people talk about you when they can no longer talk to you.
That part. Say that.
Yeah.
Hold it. Hold. Slow that up. And say that one more again for the folk way back that can't hear.
He said, people who talk about you are those people who lost the privilege to talk to you.
Amen. Amen.
So you like that one, Brother Dupree?
Amen. Yeah. I've heard that one before, but I'm glad you said it. Amen. Amen.
That's right. People who talk about you, they're talking about you because they've lost the privilege to talk to you. I'm at the point where I'm like, I wish people well, God bless you. But I don't let folks into my circle, or as Brother Dupree said, into my house. This is where I reside, and this is where my peace is. And if your mission is to come into here and disturb my peace, you are not welcome here.
Oh,
you're just not welcome here.
Hold up. You need to say it like the Jamaicans say.
Yeah.
You are not welcome here.
Yeah.
No.
So,
no.
I'm at that point in my life now where when I walk and I greet people, I love my staff when my staff say, Mr. Brown, we never know when you're having a good day or a bad day because you're the same all the time. And we would love to be like that, and we strive to be that way. I say, well, if it ain't your fault I'm having a bad day, no need for me to take it out on you.
Well, and watch this. And I'm glad you said that because there's another point I like to bring up. Somebody somewhere is always watching you.
Ooh.
Remember that, family. And hold it, especially, and I want all my leaders, all my folks in high positions who believe that they are the ones who are the trendsetters and the ones who make things happen. They are the shakers and the movers. Somebody's always watching you. And you got to remember this. If you portray that you Superman or Superwoman, what happens the day that you get hit by kryptonite and you got to show your human side? See, somebody's always watching you. And that goes back to my people. Listen, family, I said at the beginning of this podcast, be mindful who you lend your ear to. I want to share something to everybody since everybody want to be spiritual, religious. And once again, I'm not trying to turn this into a Bible study, but this is something that's real. I had to learn the hard way with relationships that if I do believe in a higher being, if I believe, and no matter what I call them, no matter what you may call them, and and some folks then get offended and say, no, you need to call it like it is because us Christians. Well, everybody's not a Christian. And I'm not saying if you're not a Christian, you are wrong or right. I just know that Christians being a Christian comes with certain stipulations, and it comes to a certain end game. There's a certain place you're trying to get to when you of the Christian faith. Other folks of other faiths trying to get to a place too, and it might not be the same name of your place. But watch this. Here's what I want to tell y'all. Through it all, in Christianity, it says, if you remember the commandments, I always ask folks, what was the first commandment? And you know, 80% of the people, when I ask them what was the first commandment in the Bible, get it wrong.
They love thy neighbor, and as I love the church, or something like that. What is it?
First commandment is not love thy neighbor. It's not thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. The first commandment is thou shalt have no other God before me. But we put a lot of stuff before.
Of the 10 commandments. The first commandment of the 10 commandments. Correct.
Right, of the 10 commandments. You shall put no other God before me. But we every day we act like God is a backup plan. Y'all put on there, God is my co-pilot. No, God's supposed to be the one flying the plane. You're supposed to be a passenger on the plane. See, God don't tell you. Watch. Oh, wait a minute. So I saw today, and I had to get myself in check. I saw a brother today say, God say, put some respect on my name. Hold on. And let me tell you why he said, put some respect on my name. Here's why. When God tell you something, he didn't tell you where you got to run to Brother Joe, Brother Edward, Mama and them, cousin and them, pastor and them. When God said, I told you what I told you, and all you need to do is wait for me to show up. Your job is to have faith and believe. My job is to show up. Put some respect on my name and stop going to everybody else to validate what I already told you, because you don't need their validation if I told you what's going to happen next. But see, our problem is we don't know the voice of God because we don't spend enough time with God. See, guess what? If somebody called me and said, hey, my name is Edward, watch this. I'm going to hit you with something. If somebody called me right now on my phone and said, hey, my name is Edward Brown, and they didn't sound like you, guess what I tell them? You and I, Edward Brown, who is this? Correct. But see, watch this. If I didn't spend enough time with Edward Brown, and me and Edward Brown wasn't close friends, guess what? Anybody could call and say, hey, this is Edward. I need to talk to you. I'll be like, hey, Ed, what's going on? See, watch this. A lot of y'all answering the phone, and the person on the other end ain't who you think it is. Back to Brother Edward Brown.
Well, now, no, I'm going to stay right where you are, because I have to share some things that I learned when I first got into this field. I had an instructor. Victoria Hippert was her name. Tulane University. She told her, you are not a therapist until you work with Jesus. And I was like, what is she talking about? She said, when it happens, you will understand. And, I was like, man, Professor Hippert kind of, she might be losing it. Well, about 2 years later, I get a call to go up to the psychiatric unit in New Orleans. We used to call it the 3rd floor. And when I went up there, the lady at the desk, she said, we got a gentleman in the room right there. He needs an assessment done. And, we called you because we thought maybe he needs a man because, one, he's naked. He don't want to put on any clothes. And none of the females feel comfortable. I said, okay. I walk into the room. There's a man sitting in the chair, completely naked. I opened up my briefcase and I put my stuff on the table. I said, how you doing? My name's Edward Brown. I'm here to do your assessment. And he was like, okay, my name is Jesus. And I was like, oh, Jesus, I've been waiting on you. I'm finally a therapist now. I'm officially a therapist. Now, I want to speed up to as I grew as a clinician. Brother Dupree, I'm going to ask you something. If Jesus Christ, because we read in the word, Jesus is coming back like this, and he's going to do this, but what would he have to do to get folks to believe? You know what I'm saying? Because he ain't going to come down in no gold chariot and, what would he have to do to get you, a typical individual walking down the street, to believe he was Jesus? because you know we gonna need some proof.
Hold it, and that's deep. Now hold on.
What would he have to do?
Hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you how deep that is. Mm-hmm. I thought about something today. You know, I happen to know some very high esteemed people in the gospel, in Christianity. I know some powerful bishops, some powerful preachers and teachers who I know some powerful artists that all they sing is gospel. Marvin Sapp and I are very, very good friends with one another. Ty Trebet. I can name lists of folks I know. And I one day asked myself, if I was just the, no pun intended, average Joe, and I asked one of them people to come to my humble abode. My abode ain't nowhere close to their abode. These people live in $1 million mansions. Correct. But if I told them to come to my humble abode, would they come? Would they come? Now, if I told them where I live, gave them my address, and they Google, because these days you can Google and look and see exactly how a person's house looks. If they Google my address and saw my house, would they come to my house? Or would they come up with what I would call
explanation,
right, of why they couldn't make it?
They can't make
it. Now, here's what would make me laugh: if somehow or another, no matter how God decided to do it, he turned around and 2 years later, or maybe a year later, or 6 months later, blessed me beyond my wildest dream, and I'm now living in something like they living in, if not greater. And I made that same phone call and said, you know what? God, the same guy that told me to call you the last time to come by and see me.
So you come again.
And come get this check I got for you. Would all of a sudden, when they Google my address and see where I lived at then, and heard the amount of the check the guy told me to bless them with, would all of a sudden then their response be, I'm on my way? Yeah. See, and I say that for this reason. Once again, everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. They're not supposed to be in your corner. They in your circle. And everybody clapping with you ain't clapping for you. But understand this. If you can't hang with me at my lowest,
you don't deserve to hang with me at my highest.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you just
if you can't come visit me when I live in the hood, don't come visit me when I'm in my mansion.
When I'm in Bel Air.
Right.
Bel Air, yeah.
Right. Because guess what? If, and once again, I'm a reader now. I'm a reader. Reading's fundamental. If what I have read is true, and I believe it is, some of y'all need to watch what y'all sending up to be built on the other side, because they tell me this side only temporary. So I would hate to see some of y'all live very nice on this side, but when you get to the other side, and guess what? I wouldn't mind living in the hood on the other side before I live in a mansion downstairs. I'm just saying, me personally, you can give me a shotgun shack.
Yes, indeed.
You can give me a shotgun shack in heaven before you give me a fully made mansion in hell. See,
all right, now.
some of y'all,
that's for the people in the back room over there.
Hold up. Yeah. Some of y'all would look at me and say, you know what? I'd rather have that mansion, the Bentley, the Balenciagas, the red bottoms, the Louis Vuitton. Give me all that in hell before you give me that shack in heaven, because that's not what I'm about. See, and that's where I have to let folk know this is why your mental health matters. Because understand, your mental health, your spirituality, that inner person, that person that only you know because nobody else know that person. That's why they matter, because you have to understand things of this world will come and go. I can replace all the money I lose. I can replace all the things I lose. I can't replace the time once it's gone, and I can't replace the life once it's left. So what's really important? Y'all say certain things are important, but what's really important? Because if it's not replaceable,
come on now,
then what's really important? And family, that's why me and this brother is here to have a real conversation with y'all, to let y'all know. And I'm gonna put it back up there. I'm actually pulling it up right now. And there's a reason why I put it up there, because I want you to know there are people who can help you. Positivechoicescounseling.org. You can go there. Let me show you what the website look like. So if you go there and say, "Oh, I don't know, was that the website?" Oh, this is the site right here.
That's the site. There it is.
There it is. PositiveChoicesCounseling.org. You can find out everything you need to know when it comes down to licensed clinician in your area who can help you with what you need to make positive choices. That's what it's all about. You know, and we're here. We're going to always be here. We're going to continue to have these conversations. Tonight, we went a little bit places that y'all probably wasn't used to going.
But guess what? Look how the hour flew.
Look, I want to make y'all.
It seems like we've been on here an hour.
No, and we're going to be on here a little bit longer. But I really want y'all to understand. This man here cares about you. Me, I provide a platform for conversation. I could provide this platform for a whole bunch of ignorance and a whole bunch of craziness. And people who know me, I do other things. I do a gaming platform. I do a music platform. I could literally have this platform and have a whole bunch of buffoonery on here.
Well, so you do the political with my brother from New York. What's his name?
I do with Fatim Muhammad. We do community conversations. I work with guys from WBLS. I work with people from all over this world. I could do something that could probably give me tons of views and tons of followers. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I have a purpose, a reason, and a season. And I'm here to help those who I know need help, because everybody's not going to talk about this. Everybody's going to talk about what's the latest gossip and mess going on the internet, what's going on with the craziness in the NBA, the NFL, what's going on with the latest rappers, what's going on here, there. And listen, and for those of y'all who want that entertainment, I also myself indulge in that at times and listen and watch and go, oh my God. And I'm glad that there are people out there doing it, but that's not what I do. And guess what? I've learned to play my position and I've learned to run in my lane.
Stay in my lane.
That's all I'm saying. I'm going to always play my position. And guess what? It might not be popular, but it don't have to be popular to be my purpose.
It don't have to be popular to be right either.
Right. I'm just saying.
It's a lot more difficult to do what's right than it is to do what's popular.
That's correct. So you know,
these kids that all the time.
Right. So, you know, I got this brother here, professor, graduate of Southern University, professor at Alcorn State, 2 prima prestige HBCUs. You know, they just happen to both be in the SWAC, you know, and you know, there's other schools that are in the SIC, the CIC, in the MEAC.
Show up at this Legacy Bowl.
Speaking about, we got to give it up to my former employer, you know, my big dog himself, you know, Doug Williams. Big up to his daughter, Ashley Williams, out there. You know, big up to him and Shaq Harris for putting this thing on to highlight, you know, the HBCU talent. You know, because many a times those individuals are looked over. You know, a lot of people didn't know Michael Strahan came from an HBCU. A lot of people didn't know that Jerry Rice came from an HBCU. A lot of people didn't know Walter Payton came from an HBCU. A lot of people didn't know that Mel Blount came from an HBCU.
That's right.
You know, just the name. Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl,
came from an MVP of the Super Bowl.
Right. Came from an HBCU. So don't let folks tell you that at black colleges and universities, you can't be somebody. You can be whatever you choose to be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We have too often allowed them to minimize, marginalize, you know, HBCUs and the products that we put out.
Correct.
Every position of skill in the NFL is dominated by a SWAC person. Like I said, we can easily say best running back that ever played the game. Me, I say it's between Jim Brown and Walter Payton.
I say it's between.
Walter Payton went to the SWAC. The best running back.
I say it's
best
between,
running back. I mean, the best wide receiver, Jerry Rice.
Right. Bar none.
Steve McNair, quarterback. Doug Williams, quarterback. All that's from the SWAC.
Come on.
When people who know football, because I love when I ask somebody, well, what school did Jerry Rice? Oh, he went to Southern Cal. Unless it moved to Itta Bena, Mississippi, he ain't going to no Southern Cal.
That part.
Walter Payton went to Didn't he go to UCLA? No, he didn't go to UCLA.
No, sir. He went to D Jackson State. D I love. You know, correct. Now, with that being said, once again, though I know there are some Jacksonians that are going to be very upset with me when I say this. Outside of the Eddie Robinson that I had the privilege and the honor to be at Grambling State and work with that man and be there when he broke when he broke Bear Bryant's record. There has not been as much attention on a HBCU since Eddie Robinson. Now, after Eddie Robinson, Steve Air McNair, Eddie Robinson. Those two people brought more attention to HBCU football. The next person in line who brought the resurgence of HBCU football.
Well, Walter Payton too. Walter Payton
and Walter Payton. Walter Payton was huge. Walter Payton, Steve McNair, Coach Eddie Robinson. Then I have to say this. The next person who has brought a big resurgence to HBCU football, though he is no longer there, is Coach Prime.
I agree.
And you just got to give the man his props.
As a result, we have this Legacy Bowl.
Right.
I mean, a black combine.
Right. I mean, him working with Doug Williams, working with Shaq Harris, working with many others, brought back people to understand that there are talents that are out there that do not necessarily take the tradition of going to the big state schools. Like here in Louisiana, we have the LSUs. In Mississippi, they have the Ole Misses, they have the Alabamas, they have the Georgias, they have the Ohio States, the Michigans, the USCs. You have the now the Colorado States. You know, you have these big time universities, the Floridas. You know, you have the Tennessees. You have the Texas Longhorns. But in all these states, you have HBCUs that have great talent. And guess what? We're going to be at the HBCU Legacy Bowl this weekend.
We're going to be there this Saturday.
If you're watching on the NFL Network, you'll probably see us somewhere on the sidelines or somewhere out there doing our thing.
All right.
I want everyone to know this. We got nothing but love for y'all.
Absolutely.
We do this for the love of our people. We do this for the love of your mental health, because your mental health matters. A healthy you is a better you. And with that being said, I ain't going to say no more. I'm going to turn it over to my brother, Edward Brown.
And you know how we do it, man. We, 5 over, but we always say, if nobody else told you today, we love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. We're going to go to the Legacy Bowl, and we'll come back and let y'all know how it was. Support, watch it. It's on NFL Network. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.